This is the second part of lesson 2. We already discussed the terms here, some of our vocabulary. And we're going to go on to page 2, label the various parts of the expression. So we've got a word bank over here. And I'm going to take expression. This whole thing right here is an expression. So I'm just going to write expression down here. And this whole thing is the expression. So I'm going to do this. Awesome. The variable is the letter. I hope you caught on to that. In this case, it's a D. I'll label the variable and draw an arrow to the D. So we've got variable and expression. The coefficient is the number being multiplied by the variable. So that is the 4 times D. So 4 is the coefficient. The constant is the number that does not have a variable. It will always be 9, negative 9, if we added the inverse. And then this has 2 terms. We have a term over here, and we have a term over here. Term is 4D, and this term is negative 9. Okay? The operation separates the terms, so the operation is a subtraction, which we could add the inverse and get 4D plus negative 9. So that answer depends on if you add the inverse or not. Okay. All right. So we are going to use some definitions to do these examples. We're going to give an example of an expression with 3 terms. You can pause this and try it yourself and then compare it to what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pick anything. So let's say 4x, that's one term, plus 9r, that's another term, minus, I'm going to have a constant term, 2. This is 3 terms. Your terms are separated by your add subtract sign. So we have 1, 2, 3. Second box says list all the terms in the expression below. So the terms are separated by add subtract signs. So we've got 8c, 5, 4d, and 6b. And we can list those. 8c, 5, 4d, and 6b. So this one has 4 terms. The third box says to circle the coefficients in the expression. I'm going to highlight them. Remember, the coefficient is what's multiplied by the variable. So 5, this is 7. 4 is a constant, so it doesn't have a coefficient, and then 2. Give an example of a like term for 3b. A like term would mean it has the same variable. We could call this, we could just use b, which remember is the same as 1b, or you could have 4b, or you could have negative 6b, anything as long as you have a b with it. Next box, give an example of a like term for 30. This can be any constant term. So for example, you can have 1, you could have 25, you can have negative 16, anything. And how about a like term for negative 5a? Again, this can be anything as long as it has an a. 7a, negative 15a, anything as long as it has the variable of a. Continuing on to the next page, I want to highlight to you that simplest form means that an expression has no like terms and it has no parentheses. So once we've eliminated our like terms by adding them together, and we've eliminated our parentheses by distributing, then we have simplest form. So for example, we're going to start with some pictures. I have here 4 apples. Whoops. 4 apples. I'm going to call apples A. And I have 6 M&Ms. And I have another 4 apples. And then I have 3 M&Ms. This is not simplest form because they have things that are like. The apples and the apples are the same. They're like terms. So I'm going to put them together and say I have 8 apples. And the M&Ms are the same. So I'm going to put those together and say I have 9M. This is simplified because I don't have any like terms. I cannot combine these because they don't have the same variable. And there's no parentheses, so I'm done. Let's take a look at something different. Ordering some food. Everybody orders what they need. And we're going to call the drinks D and the fries F. And the burgers B and the ice cream C. So we have here D, D, F, B, B, C, F, B, D, C. Sounds like I'm taking an eye test. Write an expression to represent their purchase. I am going to combine like things. So, why will this not let me do this? All the drinks, that means I have 3D, 3 drinks, and all the fries, 1, 2, 2F, so plus 2F. And then I'm going to combine all the burgers, 1, 2, 3 burgers, so plus 3B. And then I'm going to combine the ice creams, 1, 2, plus 2C. Now this is really long, but it is simplified because none of them are like terms. Oh, this is the simplified version. This is what I should have written on A, but that's okay. You get it, right? So now we're going to take the pictures, and instead of using the pictures, we're going to use variables. So this is what algebra looks like. These are algebraic examples. Instead of pictures, we're going to use algebra. So we're going to highlight what they have that's the same. This has 5 x's, and this has 3 x's. So 5x plus 3x is 8x. Then I look at what else is similar. Well, not similar, like I've got a -2 and a -7. Now, some of you are saying, well, that's -2 and -7. That is true. But if I added the inverse here, I'd have plus -2 and plus -7. So they are negative because if I added the inverse, they would be negative. So when I put them together, I get plus -9. And if I want it to look really neat, I just say -9 because I could add the inverse here to get plus negative. So whichever you're comfortable with, they're both the same. I prefer 8x minus 9. I'm doing this on my Chromebook, so it's hard for me. But it's mathematically correct to have plus -9. Both of those are mathematically correct. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. We're going to combine like terms. We always do them in alphabetical order, so these are all mixed up, and I would like to look at the x's first. So I have a plus x and a minus 9x. And again, you're probably saying, well, that's a minus sign. It is, but if I added the inverse, I'd have plus -9x. So what is x plus -9x? That's -8x. Okay, Now let's look at the y's. I have a negative 3y and a positive 8y. So we're going to say, all right, I have minus 3y plus 8y. If I put those together, different signs subtract, I have plus 5y. And then what's left are my constant terms. I have an 8 minus 7. 8 minus 7 is 1, so I have plus 1. This is my simplified expression because none of the terms are like terms and there aren't any parentheses. Why don't you pause it and see if you can do number 3 and then fire it back up again and see if you agree with me. All right, alphabetical order. I'm going to do the B's first. I have 8b minus b, which means 8b minus 1b, which is 7b. Then I'm going to look at my h's. I have plus 9h plus 1h. That makes plus 10h. 9 plus 1 is 10. And then what I have left is minus 4 plus 4, which gives me 0. You can write plus 0, but you don't have to. And there's your simplified expression. This one's kind of difficult, and it's our last one. It says, write and simplify the expression that represents the perimeter of the rectangle. Perimeter is the distance around a shape, all the way around. So let's write that because that's really important to know that this means distance. I can't type. I really can't type. Distance around a shape. Good thing I'm typing, okay? All right, so I'm going to have 7.5 plus 12y plus, the other side is not labeled, but we know in a rectangle that opposite sides are the same. So this side is 7.5 and this side is 12y. So I have to do that again. Go in here, plus 7.5 plus 12y. We're going to put like terms together to get 24y plus 15. And that is our simplified expression right here. 24y plus 15 represents the perimeter of this shape. That's lesson 2.